What's up, guys, and welcome to another video of DevTalks with your host Travian, where we talk about everything engineering technology-wise. And in this video, I actually want to cover a video by a really well-known streamer, YouTuber, Asmongold, talking about this whole real ID situation because, as you know, I just released a video about the Kids Online Safety Act and kind of put my thoughts on it, but I'm really curious about how they're going to do about this since it is something that's just freshly introduced into Congress and everything, and still haven't had the time to go through all of it. But I saw Asmongold talking a little bit about this along with some other creators. So let's just dive into what he has to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And also, if you like his videos, go check them out as well too. And let's dive right in.
Hi guys, it's me again, and today I want to talk about my favorite topic, internet censorship. And you know what's really upsetting? The fact that every single other government in the world seems to have that in common with me. Every other government right now is making laws, rules, and regulations for what can and can't be on the internet. And there is a little phrase that my mom used to always tell me, and it used to be, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." But here's the thing. These people don't have good intentions. They say it's for the kids. Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, sure. You don't want to have kids on social media. You don't want to have kids looking at certain weird stuff. Very true. But let's be honest. The real reason why they're doing it is the same reason why YouTube removed dislikes. It's very simply because companies that are running advertising campaigns, pushing narratives and social agendas that aren't popular, and also governments that are doing the exact same thing, were upset and getting their feelings hurt because the people had the power of consensus. The people had the power of assembly, and they would assemble on that little red line on the bottom of a video, and it would show everybody else that this is bullshit. How many...
And to a point here, I have to agree with Asmongold a lot. And the problem is like having this idea is great. And I said that in my other video, like everybody, like you would be fucked up or you would be messed up to sit here and say like, hey, you don't care about like kids' safety or that children shouldn't be able to see certain things. How are we going to regulate that better for their own safety, especially with a lot of these kids having online access? Part of it is also their parents. Like it comes to a point of time when it's your parents' responsibility to observe what you are looking at online and how you're interacting with other people online. That is a big responsibility on parents themselves, actually. But I do believe to some degree there are people out here for this, and there might be some people in Congress because I'm not a person who says every single person who makes a law or every single politician is probably not a bad actor. It's just not the case. Like every single police officer is not a bad actor. There's not every single of somebody is not trying to be a bad actor. Which is why he said the reference about the paving the way to hell, blah blah blah, good intentions. I believe there are people who are voting on this and everything who thought about this, and they're trying to do this in a good way. My main concern, and I'm sure his as well, is how they're doing this and how they're getting it done. I truly believe there's people who are going to vote on this with good intentions overall, and they're trying to protect people and stuff. And I made some other comments about certain websites that in certain states where it's a lot harder to get access to them because of the maturity of the actual sites and everything. But this is so broad, it's going to cover the whole web as a whole. As a whole. And he's rambling off quick here. But another thing about pushing propaganda and everything like that, how much easier does it make it for them to push you information that they want you to accept in and whatever? It's one of those things like you don't have to be in it to understand like how they're going to do it, but like you have to have all the context around what is actually being said and acted on in these laws to be prepared.
How many times have you guys read an article and you thought to yourself, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever read in my entire life? And you scroll down to the comment section and the top comment says the exact thing that you think. And you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Well, guess what? How do you solve that problem if you're the company? Do you write better articles? Absolutely not. No, of course not. You delete the comments section. And that's what they're trying to do with the entire internet. We used to have, back in the ancient days, in the ancient texts, every website used to begin with www, World Wide Web. And I think we're losing those first two W's, and I think that's a big fucking L. The fact is that we are going to be moving towards a world and a society where different internets are siloed off based off of region. This is already happening. Look at what happened with, for example, Twitch and South Korea. Now South Korean websites are pretty much unique and they do their own thing by themselves. This, in my opinion, is just a precursor of what's going to happen all across at least the Western world. Now, whenever I have conversations about this, I'm having conversations about this from the context of an American, okay? We have more freedom of speech than many other people in the world. And so when I say something like, the reality is, I think, and this is the truth, okay? You might not like this, you might not want to hear it, but if you're realistic and you take your fucking idealism cap off just for a second, you're going to realize this is true. We're going to have real ID on the internet. It's going to happen. You might not like it. I don't necessarily like it, but it's going to happen. And it's not going to be in 20 years. It probably won't even be in 10 years. It'll probably be sooner than that. And I wouldn't be surprised if things keep going the way that I think they are, that it happens even sooner than that. We're having this happen with social media. You had Spotify and you had YouTube too. And YouTube and Spotify are asking for your IDs now to make sure that you're not underage. And they have an AI checking system. So if you say it's lit or on God, you instantly get sent to YouTube Kids, which honestly, I kind of think that's doing everybody a favor, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like where to start on this whole real ID thing, and I wonder if part of the reasoning to this, there's a few bad things about real ID that I actually want to go over, but as an American also, I think part of the issue with the whole real ID thing is like you're adding a constraint on some people's freedoms that they're going to feel like they want to have access to. And then if every single country just gets siloed off from it themselves into this whole internet thing, it kind of takes away the overall part about the internet. Like the internet was supposed to be created in some sense where you would be able to access or talk to anybody at any part of the world almost instantly, and everybody would be able to network and have this whole social hub and everything. That's how the internet grew out to be. With all these things, I didn't know the thing about South Korea becoming their own silo. I actually want to know how that actually is affecting how people are connecting with people in South Korea and things along those lines, especially out here being in America, how that's going to affect all the little social interactions that's going on right now, especially for content creators, how that works, because I just need to do more research about it. I didn't know about that. If anybody has any links about that, let me know for sure. My problem with Real ID, going into it right now, security reasons. My main issue is security reasons. And this is why. I did a video recently about the T app being hacked. If you guys don't know what the T app is, it was basically an app that was created by a bunch of men or a couple of men that wanted to go out and decide, let's make a safe space for women to talk about their green and red flags about other men that they have dated and been with, so that another woman can make a safer decision or discussion about dating a man. All right, and get those experiences. It turned into a dumpster fire of what it was supposed to be. It wasn't used properly, of course, because people don't do things the right way. They don't think about doing everything before they release it. And people don't have always the best intentions when they use certain stuff. So it led to somebody hacking the app. And for people to get into this app, they needed to prove that they were a woman to get into the app. You want to know where this is going? A bunch of women, 72,000 of them, actually, if not more, a bunch of women try to prove that they were a woman by uploading their driver's license and a picture of it to the app. So the hacker uploaded the photos of all these women on this anonymous platform, along with creating a whole map of all of their addresses and pretty much doxed them all. If we have real ID on other things, and I talked about this in the other video about having ID and how we're going to properly do this securely. I said, if this is not a federal or government site, then you shouldn't be putting your ID on there in the first place. I don't know. I wouldn't be too comfortable with it. There are certain things where you have to verify yourself for government or federal websites and everything, if you guys don't know. But if YouTube and other apps and other places were asking for that, I wouldn't be too sure or comfortable, because Microsoft also just got hacked and like 400 or so people were impacted or whatever like that. These applications can still get hacked. No matter how big they are, there's somebody out there that's going to hack them one day, and who knows what their intentions are going to be. Somebody can be doing it for money. Somebody can be doing it to expose somebody else. Somebody can do it for whatever. What if YouTube gets hacked and everybody who content creators or everybody who uses YouTube is now doxxed? Who knows what is going to go on? There's a lot of safety concerns on how this is going to go about, especially with people uploading their licenses and their information like that, and being more cautious about what information you want to put on the internet. You should definitely be way more cautious. All right. But yeah, I rambled enough.
But the reality is that YouTube and Spotify shouldn't be the ones that are doing this. They should not be the ones handling your driver's licenses. They shouldn't be the ones handling your personal information. How'd that go with the T app, by the way? So in case...
I swear I did not watch this ahead of time. I didn't. I swear I did not mention this ahead of time. But that's why I said and put it on. You can look at my past videos on my channel, and I've talked about this, where these apps should not be able to handle our licenses independently. I don't know if it'll be more securely through the government and how they'll do it with our Wi-Fi internets. I don't know. I literally just said that though.
Anybody doesn't know, the T app was an app made for fat, ugly, middle-aged women to post pictures and henpeck men who didn't call them back after the first date because of the obvious reasons. And guess what happened? Well, in the most pristine and pure version of karma possible, all of these women who had their information, were putting out their information to, basically like posting the public information of these men against or without their consent, had all of their public information and private information leaked completely to the public. And now you saw the pictures of all the people, and man, oh my God, like, stereotypes exist sometimes for a reason. And so anyway, this happened, and I'm not going to say it's a hack, because there was no security, there was nothing. The guy that was running this this app, apparently, I heard that after he gets done running this app, Sony's going to hire him for their privacy division. So that's pretty much where we're at now. And I don't want to have YouTube get hacked. I don't want to have Spotify get hacked. The reality is that we need some degree of authentication token, verification, or some sort of third-party thing that verifies that maybe you are an adult or you are an actual person, you are above this age, but it does not provide that information to the end user or the end company that's actually trying to verify this. We need a validation token system. And if we don't have this, and I know people might say, no, we're not going to have any of this, it's bad. Yeah, you're going to get it, okay? It's going to happen. You can get mad at me all you want, but just wait and see. So I think we need a validation system. We need a way that has actual accountability to make sure that people just don't get their shit leaked when one of these accounts or one of these websites gets leaked. Anything can get hacked, but I would much rather put my trust in some part of like third party like security system or something like that, rather than a T app or something like that that's just basically outsourcing its security to squirrels. And so anyway, that's where that's not true. Squirrels are really good at hiding nuts. This person didn't even do that. But
another thing, the T-App, he hired security people after the information was already leaked, and then I heard they got hacked again after that. And then they had to work on it again. And it was a continuous thing. Like, same thing happened with Microsoft. They put in a patch, hacked again right after the patch. They put in another patch. A bunch of other hackers were coming in and things like that. Pause. But another thing about the authentication thing that he's referencing here, for people who may not know, I did a video regarding, because Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI was a federal conference or something like that, and he was making a speech, and he actually said a lot of the issues that a lot of the authentication that we have existing now that people use, AI can get through the authentication. So he was proposing to like work with the government in some type of way, and I don't know if this will be only a US thing, if they're going to be working with several other governments after they've like tested some new authentication thing that blocks AI from making it easier to pretend to be you in some kind of way, because that clicking that I'm not human button doesn't work anymore. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, apparently he was saying a lot of the things that we use now to authenticate, AI can get through it pretty easily. So who knows what like the future is going to look into that. That's just my extra piece that I want to add on top of what Asmongold or Asmon is saying right here, because none of us really know how they're going to go through it. Even if this new third party comes in, say that third party is OpenAI and they're working with the government on how they're going to be blocking all these different, or getting people to adults to authenticate through these third party apps or systems. Who right now we're in a state of not knowing on where we're going to be sitting at in the next 5 to 10 years.
Anyway, I was just thinking about this. The fact is that, yes, this is where things are going, and the internet is doing this. Why is this happening? It's not happening to protect the kids. It's happening to protect the people and the companies that are in power, to make sure that narratives go unchallenged. And if you don't, the thing is, like, I don't even have to make a 1984 analogy, because we can just make a 2020 analogy. Look at what happened with COVID. Do you even for a second think that's not what's happening? Of course it is. It's happening right in front of us because it just got done happening. And do you really think that all the people are like, the censorship game's up. Well, I guess it's time to go home and let's have everybody have freedom of speech now. No, they're planning their next method and their next move. And guess what? They just showed us our side of the board, or sorry, their side of the board. This is what's happening right now. And I'm very concerned about this because I don't want to see the internet siloed away. I think that one of the best and most enriching things about the internet is the fact that everybody in the whole world can go on and talk with each other, basically. It's something that expands people's horizons. I think it both creates and also gets rid of xenophobia. And I think that the truth is that it gets rid of it a lot faster than it makes it. I think that if you can just talk to somebody from another country, from another place, you just have a straight up conversation with them. It's a lot easier than hearing what the media is trying to make you think this country is like. And I feel like there's been a lot of cultural understanding that the internet has created that weirdos and people that have agendas never like to acknowledge. I've been more enriched in my ability to understand the rest of the world because of the internet than anything else ever. And I would hate to see that not be an option for other people in the future, but it sure seems like things are going that way. I think the real problem here, by the way, isn't with companies doing this, okay? The companies are just pulling the trigger. You should look at the person who's loading the gun and who made the gun. And that person, that's the government. And so the fact is, in telling them to pull the trigger, the fact is that these companies are not doing this because they want to do it. They're doing it because they're afraid of not doing it. So what we need to be more vigilant of and there needs to be more advocacy of is, number one, privacy laws. I think that if a judge issues a subpoena and a person is doing something and there's reasonable cause and there's evidence and everything, I think, of course, their information should be turned over to the government. Like, duh. I mean, of course, that's the way anything is. That's the way it is now. But the truth is that I don't want to have the government that just has, they can just read what you're doing on the internet all of the time. And unfortunately, it seems like that's where we're at. And I understand if you've got nothing to, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Yeah, definitely. Well, what happens whenever they change what to hide? That's the issue. And I think that's where everybody else is at too. I don't want to have my internet be controlled by the 20 most annoying Karens that are either in Collective Shout, that are in the T app, or that are in Congress. Or I don't want to have them controlled by the 20 most powerful companies that are basically pulling the strings for a lot of these types of regulations. I am very concerned about this, and I think that you should be too. I think there's an honest and genuine conversation to be had about which content is appropriate for children and which is not, and how social media should regulate itself and how social media should be regulated. But we are going a lot farther than that, and we're talking about the entire internet and websites wholesale. This is censorship. This is going to go too far. This is not for kids. This is for adults to prevent them from doing and saying things and organizing in ways that put the powers that are making these rules at risk. That's what's happening. And I understand I might sound like a crazy person, but after everything that happened during COVID, I can't see a single one of you guys disagreeing. And
So I'm gonna end it right there with the reaction because the video is getting extra long. But the best example that I can give is Twitter before it became X. We like 100% right about the COVID thing, where like a lot of people were getting censored off of whatever beliefs. Like at some point, when you're on the internet to a certain degree, who cares if this person said this or said that? To some type of degree, there's some point of degree, it's like, who cares? Like if they think COVID's fake, let them think COVID's fake. If they don't think the vaccine works, don't let them get the vaccine and everything. Like some people should have the rights for all of that going on to whatever on the internet. Like I said earlier, I think parents need to be more involved in their children on what they have access to online and what they're going through. And as far as being responsible adults to the children that they have in their care, they should be responsible to that to some kind of degree and everything uh, on that scale. Yes, the internet does help also, like you said, with interacting with anybody across the world. Because if I wanted to talk about something or become more knowledgeable about something, I can go talk to somebody a lot easier. I went to Japan recently, loved it out there. When you go and speak to people out there, you can understand why they feel or why their cultures are certain ways. You get to understand people as a whole in person. I met some people out there. I have them on social media. It's so much easier to just message them on social media about something that's going on out there in their country if we see it on a news thing, so that we can get better context in the situation. It's so much easier to just do stuff like that. That's one of the things that I wouldn't want everybody to be siloed on their own, because then there's no point if we just can speak to everybody in our country. It's just dumb. And it, mind you, as again, these is the reactions from an Americans speaking about this kind of issue, uh, with having more rights to be able to speak and everything, regardless to other countries and who else ever knows. But there's a lot of things I have to agree with, but at the same time, regulating this through law takes a lot of responsibility off of parents, and parents should have way more responsibility in what's going on and what their kids are exposed to and paying attention to them. I definitely am not a big person to agree and sit here and let an iPad or social media raise a child. I'm not a person who's ever agreed with that being okay and doing that. And some people just do that because it's easier for them and everything. And maybe some of these people who are proposing this bill are looking at this of a way of like, hey, this just continues to make life easier for whether they're parenting or whatever. Who knows? You really don't know unless you're speaking to some of these people one on one and you actually have an actual one on one with them, which I would love to actually talk to them further detail about this and actually have an interview about it if I knew who to speak with. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, go check out Asmund. His channel will be linked in the description down below. I really appreciate his videos and his content that he does put out at some time. So go check him out if you like his content. Go like the video. Go subscribe to him if you mess with him. All that fun jazz. But also don't forget to comment here. I'm really interested in what people have to say and build upon things that we discuss here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate everybody who really does. Thank you so much. Also, if you want to send me any recommendations, send me an email at devtalkspod@gmail.com. Everything will be in the description down below. Without further ado, peace. See y'all next time.